In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, GuMPers.
Oh, hold on a minute. That's not meant to be there. Get that out of the way. Sorry, Morpheus, what are you doing there? Munson here. Hola, bon dia, alegria. With the Good Morning Portugal show. That's lovely, Tom Smith. Thank you very much for your Good Morning Portugal this morning. Can you guess where I am today? I'm liking this different location every day. Do keep sending in those pickies, and I will feature them. I'll make me my green screen backdrop here. Can you guess where I am today? Not that difficult there. Courtesy of Daniel Reis of Reis and Pelicano. Great webinar last night with Expats Portugal, and we were talking about the view from Daniel's window with Gilda and Daniel, and he sent a couple of pics over, this being one of them. That's a really big clue, by the way, so I'll leave that there. It's going to be there for the no hurry to decode, to understand, to guess where that might be in Portugal. We'll be here until probably after 10 o'clock. This show, the Good Morning Portugal show, that starts at 8:31 and finishes sometime after 10. Not very specific, but true. A 4-duck rating from T-Duck this morning. Thank you, T-Duck. I think we've got some more Robert Hunter. His name was longer in previous days this week. Robert Hunter of the Grateful Dead. That's where some of our deep thoughts of the day are coming from, as well as a Portuguese saying, and some dad jokes to try out on those dads, Ian and Phil, who join us after 9 today. At 9:30, very interesting chap called Joss, a British immigrant expat foreigner who has experience of Portugal since the year 2000. So looking forward to having Joss on the show. I've got a new computer. You're probably aware of that. The screen is flashing at my end. I'm not sure if it's the new computer, if it's the graphics card, whatever it is. Is it flashing for you? If it's not flashing for you, I'm good with that. If it is flashing for you, then I imagine that's a bit annoying. Do let me know if that's occurring at your end, as it were. Baddie's in this morning. How you doing, Baddie? James, of course. We got dad joke from James as well, and a Yogi Berra quote of the day. Fantastic, James. Still recovering from a fabulous Porto meetup earlier on this weekend, and I think we're going to have a little bit of a meetup network page on the Good Morning Portugal website. Talking of which, actually, a big shout out and a great big thank you to Jeff. If we have a look at our leaderboard over there on coffee.com, and now I know there's some talk about how people would rather give in different ways, and coffee's a bit annoying, confusing. Some people are managing, and I do thank you so much. There's the leaderboard. All fellas still. We laid down the gauntlet, the challenge for any female supporters of the show, but none as yet. Jeff very kindly stepped in yesterday to cover our streaming costs. We are a community effort, and Jeff manfully stepping in there, covering the streaming cost, the StreamYard streaming cost. Thank you so much, Jeff, for doing that. That's really kind of you. And a quick shout out to all the others who are on there as well. Jeff, James, Phil, who you'll see later on, Darren, Gene, Jeff, another two Jeffs are popular here, aren't they? One with a J, one with a G, and Eric J, and all the others. We nearly have 100 supporters for the Good Morning Portugal show. Going back a long way, this is how we started, of course, as a crowd-funded effort, and that is to where we have returned just recently. So every aspect of the show is a community effort, I would say. We hold it together at this end, me and Mrs. M, and she will be here. I think she's just getting ready in hair and makeup as we speak. Not that I've bothered with such things. And if anyone's thinking, God, Carl, you do need to take better care of yourself. Look at the state of you. I am going for my monthly haircut. It feels like an annual haircut. Hopefully by the end of today, I will look like somebody who has an owner again. Going to Baptista in Alfezaral, my favorite barber. And I'm taking my boy as well. Really brilliant dad and lad bonding moment going to the barbers. The little fella needs a haircut too, but he's going to have to wait. He needs his doing as well. He's been confused or mistaken for a girl quite a lot, which happens. No problem with that, especially. Well, it might be for him. It doesn't bother us too much as his parents. But I think it's very interesting, isn't it, when you're 3 and you know you're a little lad and people keep saying, oh, she's tired or she's this or she's that. So an interesting moment for him. Did that ever happen to you as a kid? It used to happen to me, I have to say. And not when I was 3, when I was a bit older, when I had me long curly locks. Can you believe that? Just for a moment, anyone who wants to ponder and remember their long curly locks, let's just do that for a moment. Shall we just have a moment's reflection? Hair. Wasn't it great? Still got a little bit. We should be grateful for that. And I'm sure that's what Phil will be talking about. The healthy mind and body. Phil covering that department, the healthy mind. And God Squad Coach Turner covering the body parts this morning as well. So looking forward to those 2 gentlemen. I use the term loosely, joining us this morning after 9. Oh, a 2 duck rating. This is catching on, isn't it? Got a wide angle of the 25 de Abril Bridge for you. Fantastic. That will be up next week. Thank you very much for that. Loving the backdrops. Thank you so much, Francis. But just a 2 duck warning from you, a rating rather than I hope it's not a warning, a 2 duck rating. Hope you're okay, Francis. Do you want to say more about that? We're here. We're a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on if you want, and a group hug, an abraço do grupo. Is that right? A group hug in Portuguese. Thank you very much, T-Duck, then, for all your contributions, and James and Francis for that photo that's just come in, and everybody who's contributing. That's where I was going with the community contributions. We are a community contributed show, and the Wonga really helps. It puts food on the table, pays the bills, and all that sort of stuff. But as you can see, contributions of photographs, of all the lovely photographs and videos that come in, dad jokes, everything, every level. And we'll talk more about value for value, but that's the philosophy we're using here. Value for value. T-Duck's told me all about that. It's inspired by the work of Adam Curry, the pod father. Now, special love and shout out and a group hug to those on the podcast as well. The Cinderellas of the Good Morning Portugal community. Thank you to each and every one of you over there on the podcast that tunes in and is now enjoying the morning show on the podcast again. Do send me a message, Carl at Good Morning Portugal. You're not going to see that on the screen as everybody else can at the moment, but I'm not going to rub that in and talk too much about photos this morning. Carl at goodmorningportugal.com. And if there's anything we can do for you podcast listeners that will make your experience of the GMP that much bit better, that a little betterer than it is at the moment, do let us know, won't you, please? Carl at goodmorningportugal.com. Stephen's in, as well as Baddy. Tom, nice to see you here with your Good Morning Portugal, singing along, I think. And the whistling has made an appearance. It's on a lot of the videos that are posted up outside of the live streaming. Okay, so if you want to hear the whistle, go to the YouTube channel. And thanks again on the YouTube channel. We had a nice influx after Veronica joined us yesterday with her girls at the Algarve. I think a lot of ladies have joined the YouTube channel, so that will change our demographic from mainly men between 55 and 64, I think, as it stands at the moment. A lot of you in America. Ladies joined yesterday, so thank you very much for that, Veronica, for introducing us to your community, and vice versa, I hope too. Phil is also tuned in and will be joining us. Phil the Few, who has been messing about with his mattocks in central Portugal, and not so much living the dream as living the drain, as we will find out a little bit later on. Amazing. If you're a friend of Phil's, I love that phrase, friendofphils.com. If you are a friend of Phil's, his pictures and videos of what he's been up to in central Portugal are fascinating, and Lady K's journaling of the same makes for a great read as well, and they always have brilliant photographs and videos between them. Pete also in this morning. Carl H. Look at this. That's the Carl H. who was here yesterday. Carl Hyde. How's your daughter? Did you watch Bluey? Did you take my recommendations? Did you watch any Bluey? Araújo, wonderful part of Lisbon, south of the river. Good. Which you can see in my photo there. There's, I think, another little clue. Could I give it away any more than that? Anna Esteves, good morning to you. How are you? Anna from Serenity, I believe. No flashing here. Good. That's a relief, isn't it? Looks good. Tom Smith's end looks good. Always nice to know. Bon fin de semana todos. We're putting the sex in sexta-feira. Where is that ticker tape? There you go. Hola, bon dia, alegria on the screen. to you as we put the sex into sexta feira this morning. Thank you, Francis and Suze. Hi all. Suze, I have been plugging your meetup suggestion. That's anyone in Canada. Well, not anyone in Canada, because it could be quite a long way to go to Vancouver, BC to meet you. But if that's handy for you in Canada, Vancouver, BC, Suze wants to get a meetup together. And as I think I was started to say, but interrupted myself. Yes, definitely a meetup. I think a page of all the meetups. With of course, the virtual one, Expats Portugal one with Hank and Connie on Saturday night. Our Silver Coast San Martino meetup on a Wednesday. Alcabasa, Pam's. There are loads of them emerging. Gathering of gatherings. So we'll make sure we'll get those all together in one place. And please put them on the GuMPer map, of course. Smash that like button. Get your Mattocks out for the lads and hit the like button. I mistook ducks for how much rain. More ducks is more rain. Pick I sent you was drizzly, so got 2 ducks. I'm yet to crack the duck code. Many have tried and few have managed that. It's a bit like Alan Turing, is it? Not the Fibonacci sequence. I don't know. What is that special code that got cracked that they made a movie about? That was very instrumental in the Second World War. I can't remember, but the duck code I think is even more complex to crack than that. Andy's in, had lunch. Had lunch with Louis Pateau yesterday. I've got a jingle for that somewhere, haven't I? If I can just get, yeah, there we go. Senor Pato, T-bone steaks and lamb chanfana. That sounds like a dance as much as a dish, doesn't it? Doing the chanfana in central Portugal with Luís Pato yesterday. That does sound fantastic. Was that part of your dad's birthday celebrations there, Andy? Fabulous. She's in the room. She is in the room. We better play a jingle because we want to talk some more about how to prepare for an emergency. This has become a sobering reality for us.
Yeah, it's fair to say I don't always agree with Carl, but hey, this is a section about what he doesn't tell you. So let's have a look now, shall we?
There she is. It sounds confrontational. Fair to say, I don't always agree with Carl. What sort of way is that to start a feature?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's very confrontational. Do you want me to change it?
No, it's beautiful. It's lovely to see you on the show this morning. How are you? I think you're talking through the webcam microphone again. If you don't mind me,
absolutely
just so sick of this right now.
I really am, actually.
Really?
Absolutely exhausted, to be honest.
You are. We have been attending to a situation of our dear friend who's in hospital. I think that's a little part of it, isn't it? And we wanted to talk this morning about how to prepare for a 112 emergency. We talked about fire safety and bug out bags for fires. Mrs. M's here this morning to tell you what I don't tell you. My suggestion would be to get the cold beers out for the 112 Bomberos crew when they arrive and make them feel at home. That's probably not the best thing to do, is it, Mrs. M?
I think it's good to have them around for other tradespeople, but maybe not the people who are going to be saving your life or your
okay,
friend's
fair
life.
enough. What else have I not told people about that? I mean, what seems to be important is that our friend can't get in touch with us because she's not been allowed to have her handbag, which has her phone in it, right? Which I can only imagine must be really horrible for her. We're looking after a dog, which I hope the message has got through that we're doing that, and she'll be very happy to know that he's very happy here. He's lying next to me right now. But that's a bit of a situation, isn't it? When you go in, we can't get through because sometimes you can't get through because the lines are so busy. We don't speak Portuguese at a good enough level to find out what's going on. What are your suggestions, Mrs. M, in this sort of dire situation?
Well, I mean, it almost negates the need for a bug out bag, doesn't it? You know, if you're not allowed to have personal things with you.
Yes.
But I think, it's a bit of research I think is needed. One of the things that I was reading late last night, is that there's this new service in the NHS. Oh, well, it's not a service in the NHS. It's a service that has worked or collaborated with the NHS to make sure that our wishes are really listened to when we go into hospital.
Oh, okay.
Because you know, there are lots of procedures and tests that go on in hospitals that people don't necessarily want to have, and in an emergency they don't always get their chance to have their say, especially if they're in another language. So I think that's a really essential part of it. For instance, you know, like when you're about to give birth, you have your own birthing plan, and I had a very specific request, and that was that we didn't have a vitamin K jab for our kids. And where we left really, really quickly, and where I almost gave birth in the car park. In fact, you were in the car park while I was giving birth.
I was trying to park the car, wasn't I? Yes.
That's how quickly our first baby came. Carl was parking the car whilst I was giving birth, upstairs, but they didn't even check the birthing notes. So I think having something with you, if you have some kind of health requirement or request that you're absolutely completely serious about, then I think you need to have this with you in your bug out bag.
Yeah, so two levels then, and we will work more on this, won't we? We'll have a bug out bag idea, so in case you can have a bag, or that can go to your relative.
I think a preliminary bug out bag is really worth having.
Your dressing gown, something.
They wouldn't take her. I mean, I packed a bag for our friend with a dressing gown, toothbrush, hairbrush, a clean pair of undies, socks, something really comfy to wear, and her phone and her charger, which just seemed like the most important things. And she's not been allowed to have those at all, so she's no idea who is looking after her dog.
It might be a number of options then. It might be the basics, something a little more lavish, because there will come a point when you will need those things, but they might not let you have them straight away. So I think we should probably prepare a cheat sheet or guidance sheet with all of those levels. But the really important one,
the really important thing that they're asking for a couple of nights ago was the EHIC card, which is the emergency health doodah number. There you go. That's its new name, the doodah card. And there were a few things. She needed to have her passport, the EHIC, and something else. I can't remember what it was. But I think it's also worth having a protocol that you may well have with friends, like local friends. In the case of this emergency, I want this person to be contacted straight away. If you don't have a next of kin living in the same place, then what do you do? I mean, this is the situation that our friend is in, is that she doesn't have a next of kin living in Portugal. So there needs to be a way of electing who gets treated as a family member. And of course, a lot of people who emigrate don't necessarily want to have all their family and stuff. That might be one of the reasons why they've gone in the first place.
Well, then they come round from their operation to find that all the people they wanted to get away with are standing around the bed.
Yeah.
No.
And
on the next of kin thing, that's another thing we need to investigate, isn't it? Because sometimes the hospital, and this is something I've discovered, that there's often an hour visiting time which has to be booked in advance. So you can't just rock up there and say, "Oh, is so and so here? Can I go and see them?" You need to negotiate and organize that over on the phone. And it might be that appointment is only available to a spouse or family member. So again, if that person is in Portugal without such close-blooded connections, then perhaps needs to be another explanation of that. This is the person I want to come and see me. That what I'm thinking of is almost like a Paddington Bear idea, where you can actually put something on a lanyard around your neck. Because that will be allowed into the hospital with you, won't it? With your emergency details on. Now, so if your Portuguese is not going to be at its best if you're in an emergency. So I think that information on a lanyard or a credit card or something, credit card size thing, might be quite useful. Is that you're smirking at my suggestion there? I think
I was just imagining, would there be a lanyard big enough for all of my requirements? Imagining having this big old lens.
Well, they ping it open and suddenly it just Jack in a box lanyard with all your details that you want.
Yeah, well, I mean,
decaffeinated coffee.
One of the reasons why I was also smirking was, I don't think there's any need to recreate something that may already exist. I know that there are some services and insurances that you can pay that do just this. Or might do some of it, but maybe not all of it, the whole piece. So I think it is worth speaking about. I've got a short list of people that have agreed to be interviewed by me who've maybe had somebody go into hospital, who've maybe lost somebody. So if you're listening in today and you've actually gone into hospital with a loved one, or it's yourself in Portugal, by the way. I'm not doing it all around the world because that takes forever. But if you've got an experience of, the medical care in Portugal and you think that you can add something to this conversation, then please do just contact me. It's Louisa Tanner Munson at gmail.com.
Yeah.
And I'd love to interview you so that we can really come up with a really rich and very grounded and based bit of information for people.
And focused and simple by the end of it. Well,
Yeah.
It'll be concentric circles, won't it, of what you can, what you could and should pack, perhaps, right down to the basics. Because I had a pretty good interaction with the head bomberos guy who was asking for certain things, which was delaying our friend getting to hospital. Have you got one of these? Have you got one of those? Have you got, the SNS this? So we'll get to the bottom of all of that. Talking of fast babies, then this morning, Pete, my first child came out quite quickly, and my wife's best friend tactfully announced that she's been around a bit. Still makes me giggle. I don't think the speed of labour is to do with the size of vagina, if I may. I don't know if that's what Pete is saying here. Talking of which, we watched the final episode of Amazing Grace last night, and our eyes are still puffy and red. Has anyone else seen Amazing Grace, the series, the 8 parts mini series of what is it called? A mini series, an 8-parter anyway, a drama series from Australia featuring Grace the midwife. Oh my goodness, they couldn't have packed in more highs and lows of life if they tried. No wonder there's no second series. They did everything in those 8.
Yeah, they really, really did.
We wept bitterly last night watching it, thinking for a little bit of relief, well, a little bit of a change from some of the realities of a bit of a stressful life at the moment. I know we'll be weeping watching a midwife in Australia instead. It was great though, wasn't it? Really well.
Yeah, I'm glad there was a happy ending in the last 2 minutes of that whole anguish of like an hour of anguish, but
they made us wait.
It was really phenomenal.
They made us wait. They made us wait to the very last moment for some relief.
Well, all good stories do, don't they?
That's so true. And marriages. Make sure not marriages. Make sure you pack reading glasses, says T Duck. I was in hospital for a few days without glasses. They kept asking me to sign things, but I couldn't read them. So I did. Oh, well done, T Duck. Yes. So an extra pair of those, maybe from the Chingados, and I have been cautioned for saying Chingados for Chinese shop. If you maybe get a pair of those cheap glasses, that maybe should go in the bug out bag as well, right? And make sure the prescription's okay. Very wise though, not reading anything you can't understand, or is it all a blur? T Duck. Far better than finding out you've been eating placenta pate and having breast milk in your coffee retrospectively, though. Phil's in the green room and he just took a big sip of coffee. I don't know if that upset your enjoyment there, Phil. Now, I would say don't knock it till you've tried it, right, Mrs. M?
Yeah.
Bordering on. Oh, give over. Lads.
I'm not actually. I wouldn't say it's cannibalism.
It can't be, can it? Look,
no,
maybe,
because
yes,
the placenta isn't actually alive. It's an organ, and it's an organ that we actually eject and let go of.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of the breast milk though. That's not cannibalism, is it?
No, I mean that's
quite the opposite, really. It's absolutely maybe the number one food for human beings. Had you ever thought of that?
Well, it's actually the only milk humans should actually, like why. I mean, I know we all like our cheese and cream and this, that, and the other.
Maybe breast milk.
No, but I mean, like we drink other species' milk and then turn our nose up at our own that probably sustained our life right at the start.
Yeah, I think they were talking about placenta and onions though for dinner, weren't they? I suspect, but we have become very modern and rational.
I have to say, when we were roasting my 3 placentas at different stages, the house did smell quite good. It did smell like we were cooking some nice like liver dish or something.
That's right. And the vicar could have walked in and said, "Oh, that smells jolly good. Would you like some?" With your cup of tea, vicar. Lovely, delicious. What was that? Oh, you probably don't know. Serenity, inner and the service. Oh, I see. Anna's here and James is talking to Serenity there. Mrs. Duck would love to be interviewed about what it's like when I was in the hospital here in Portugal. Perfect. And
I'd absolutely love to speak to Mrs. Duck.
Yeah, well,
she's on my dream team interview list, in fact.
That's right. Well, we're talking to Bill
And Mr. Duck. I'd
Yeah.
like to talk to you as well, if I
We've
may.
got a special on Tuesday about it. PT Country Bear and Bill had an experience of being in hospital as a bit of an emergency. We've got an hour devoted to it. This is all coming together, and I think will be very helpful. So we've
Do you
got
know
an
what?
hour.
Rather than panicking everyone, saying, "Oh, we need to get all this stuff done," what I would say is the best start is just to get clear about what you would like your experience to be when you go into hospital, because you can never plan when it's actually going to happen.
Yeah, there is something I don't tell you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because Carl just like goes crazy and says, right, we need to do this, and this, and then
Yes.
it starts to really overwhelm people. The most important thing is to really think about the experience you're hoping for. Do you have anything that you really are very clear about that you don't want happening to your body while you're in there?
And maybe some things you do, I don't know why my mind went here, but I was thinking, am I going to get I'm not even going to say. I can't believe I thought that.
Tell me off air later.
I'll tell you later. We'll contact you, Mrs. M. Just had a life-threatening experience. Sorry, I don't know. I'm laughing at the last bit, not this, Paul.
Yeah.
We'll contact you, Mrs. M. Just had a life-threatening experience for a UK visitor who had to go in hospital by ambulance. Yeah, and this is the moment, Paul, isn't it, where you think to yourself, this today wasn't meant to be like this. We are not prepared. That's the feeling we're talking about, isn't it? So I think, Paul, we're on the same wavelength there. You know exactly.
Please do get in contact, Paul. I'd love to speak to you about that.
Okay, because it isn't actually alive, the placenta. I'm sure we have heard a mutual friend say that. Why else would have humans? Why? Oh yes, this is one of Matty's comments, isn't it? Why else would they have made humans out of meat? It's a German joke, everybody. Morning, Matty. Would you mind me adding you to my WhatsApp friends, James? Oh, look at this. This is a bit of correspondence going on in the chat. Sounds like Carl is putting. It was that actually. It was that. And then he's like, and then he's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to my bed bath. Maybe even a little shave down there as well. And then Igor. The great big Russian shot putter male athlete turns up with his razor.
Yeah,
who's just come in to the country. That's not my fantasy. That's a twist to the. Oh, I'm getting myself into some terrible hot water here this morning. These are the things I shouldn't tell you, rather than what he doesn't tell you. Philomena is here for a bit of Feel Good Friday fun. She had an interesting time with the dad jokes, and we'll try those on Phil and Ian later on today. Today's dad jokes, and see if we can get them guffawing or keeping a straight face. But now, te atrás para nossa visita hoje com prova dos queijos e vinhos. It's the cheese and wine tour to Panella this evening. Putting the pin in Panella. Maybe, and the sex in sexta-feira. That's what we're doing here on the Good Morning Portugal show this morning. And we've got to have a quick look at the weather, Mrs. M. Could you just look out the window, because it's pretty much.
It's pretty English.
It
actually
is.
Only it's really warm. I walked our neighbour's dog last night in a vest top.
Hold on. We've got an instant weather report from the Algarve. That is not too bad. Okay, thank you for that, Ian. All right, go on. Vest tops. What was that?
Last night when I walked our friend's dog.
Oh yeah.
It was about I don't know, 9 o'clock. It was just so warm. I mean, so it was misty, and it was really kind of a little bit moist.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's such a naughty word to use. Carl, you love that word,
don't you? All I'm hearing is vest top and moist this morning.
But what I'm saying is, it might look like the UK, where we are today in terms of the grey sky, but it's really warm. Right, it's actually cooler in the house than it is if you step outside. I'd take this jumper off very quickly.
Okay, all right. No time for any more questions from Mrs. M. She's going to stay with us, I hope, though. Are you?
No, I've got to sort things out with kids. I've got an impromptu crafting session going on behind.
Oh my God! Okay.
I'll say hello to the boys.
All right, look at this rain. I'm just scrolling down through the Portuguese weather. Everywhere, I think, has a rainy weekend. So I think it can simply be put as that. Rain in 4 letters. The four-letter word for your weather forecast today, it's rain. It begins with an R. And if we go to the weather station, the live feed, this is Phil Ruff's weather station in his backyard. Thank you very much for this. And I think, is it true to say, looking at this, have you been shopping for coats? Or has it just been listening to our conversation there? Look at the advertising on this. Oh, you're not seeing that. Sorry, I clicked. I clicked on the weather station link, and I thought you would follow me through to that, as it were. But you didn't. So here it is now. This is the weather station, courtesy of Phil Ruff, and it puts up the Google apps on the side, shows
I
what
quite
you
like
and I
those
can
shoes.
find. They're quite nice, aren't they?
And that coat.
Oh, some
Very
nice
nice.
Christmas present ideas for me there. So 61 Fahrenheit. I'm going to scroll down though. Look, you can see Phil's precipitation cup there on the left. Why are you sniggering at that?
I'm still thinking about like hospitals and like samples and things.
That is not urine, that is actual precipitation. Keep it up. And there is look at his precipitation graph. Actually, you're right. This could be on a clipboard at the end of the bed.
Yeah, it really could.
It really could. But look at that spike in precipitation. And who does? Well, not many people like a spike in precipitation first thing in the morning. But there you go. That shows you how much rain has been falling in the Obidos area. Let's get those fellas on. But just have a couple of more comments before we go there. At 9:02. Sorry, gentlemen, to keep you waiting. Jacqueline, we're really sorry to hear this. My husband is in hospital in Caldas.
Oh.
No beds available. He's in critical condition. It is what it is. Jacqueline.
Oh, Jacqueline.
That sounds
really sorry to
awful.
hear
I
that.
don't know. Is there anything this community can do to help you? You are the great helper of other people,
Yeah.
Jacqueline. We see you and we acknowledge you as that. You do so much for other people, and now is perhaps the time for others to support you. So do let us know what we can do. And that doesn't sound like a great picture with no beds being available in Caldas. Yeah. Perhaps he'll be going to Torres Vedras, and he's in critical condition. So sending love to you. Yeah, let us know what we can do to help you, Jacqueline. So sorry to hear that. Carl, can you put Mrs. M's link in the chat?
I'm just doing it now, actually.
Okay,
just done it.
Antonio F is here. Let's give him a nice round of applause. Oh, that's the wrong.
What's the matter with you this morning?
Morning.
Hello,
morning, you two.
How are you doing? Yes, indeed. You weren't expecting that, were you? The unexpected item in the bagging area this morning. Who is Mrs. M, which is a terrible way to refer to my wife.
Yeah, well, I mean, you refer to me as the current Mrs. M. I mean, that's even more disturbing.
I haven't done that for a long time, to be fair.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not nice.
Okay, all right. Did you say you had to go?
Yeah, I did.
No, not just yet. These gentlemen are in Portugal. Last time we spoke, I think you were in various car parks and so on of the UK. You're here in Portugal. So, Ian, where are you? You look like you're in a fancy hotel.
Well, I can't call it fancy. It's not very fancy, but it's really quite cool.
Yes.
Let me show you.
Oh, look at this.
Show you my view from our balcony. It's our room. The view out is very cool. There's the pool.
Very quiet.
It is relatively quiet, but there's
and no German visitors at the moment.
It's a bit cool for that.
Right.
We're sort of halfway between Vilamora and Albufeira, and about, I guess, 800 meters from the coast, which is the Falesia beach, which runs kind of all the way along for miles and miles, and cliffs behind, and it's a nice area. But the hotel itself is very much a sports orientated hotel, which kind of suits exactly what we wanted. So at 10:30, I think I'm being dragged along to Bums and Tums or something like that. Anyway. Which should be interesting, because I don't do that. Who doesn't like Bums and Tums in the morning? So that's good. But there's a whole group of triathletes here who've been training. I suspect they've been here a week.
Yes.
But we ended up dancing with them last night, so that worked out too.
You can add that to the box of excellent activity and exercise, can't you?
Well, it is. It can be.
Yeah.
So they're a lot of them are going out cycling today, I think, because they were at breakfast in these funny shorts with nappies on, if you get my drift.
Very useful.
The ones with padding.
Multitasking. I see that kind of nappy. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So that they're here, and in fact, they were getting in my way when I was training yesterday. So
Really?
But,
So what's the protocol
but
with
there was
that?
about 40 of them and one of me, so I think I'm probably the guilty one.
Did you give them a nice sort of British passive-aggressive harumph as you were trying to get through?
No.
Okay.
We're all on the same track. We all have the same issues. So
okay. All right.
but it was nice. It's lovely to see a place where everybody's active and doing stuff. You know, I know it's my thing, but it's a really cool place.
And it
Really
might
cool
be,
place.
and we'll talk about this more later on in the show, but it might be the venue, might it not, of a God Squad get-together?
I think it could be a fabulous venue.
Right.
Seriously, I think it could be. I mean, the food is really good. It's very much buffet style. It's not not fine dining, but it's all good quality, well cooked, fresh, lots of fresh fruit, vegetables. So allegedly healthy, but there's unhealthy stuff too. So it's all good.
I'm
and kind of all inclusive, so you can get drunk for free.
Gets better.
There's wine on tap.
Right.
Wow.
And you can tell we're in a hot country because one of the taps is cold red wine.
Really?
So yeah, there's a normal red wine and there's a cold red wine.
We're liking the sound of this place.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ian. Phil, what do you reckon? I think this could be a venue for us, could it not? Good morning.
Is it dog friendly? Can we bring little Joey with us?
I haven't noticed any animals, I have to admit, and I suspect not.
Yeah, it could be a problem on the
not
track.
so worried then.
That might be a problem.
On the racetrack, especially though, Ian, right? You know, there is a running track there. If the people don't clear up after their dogs, that could be trouble, couldn't it?
Yeah, football pitch in the middle of it, and it could be a bit of an issue. But having said that, there are lots of apartments around here that you can rent, so that might be an alternative. Or I've certainly seen a few vans parked. So that's the other alternative for you, Phil.
We'll bring you some cold red wine out to the car park, Phil. And,
you know, nothing like being social. Drinking on my own.
Well, I'm sure you can come in for dinner. That wouldn't be a problem.
We might allow that.
Yeah.
I know.
But it's set up for groups as much as anything else, so it would be really easy to organise and not expensive. I mean, we've actually got an apartment, so we've got bedroom, kitchen, lounge area. There's a desk area. It's nicely set up, and it's costing us £75 a night.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing!
I think that's a really good deal.
I'll tell you what, Ian.
Can I ask, is keeping fit compulsory, or could you just go and just enjoy yourself?
No, you just go. I mean, there's all sorts here.
Everyone was thinking that, but she asked.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, I think as well, it's a bit like, you know, in the days of our youth, maybe when 10 people would get into a travel lodge room, 75 divided by 10 is a pretty good nightly rate. GuMPers piling into an apartment together, right?
Well, this apartment is okay for 4 because there's a pull-out double bed.
Okay.
So in the lounge area.
Right. Who doesn't like? Very good.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently in the summer, there's kind of double the number of people that there are now because people are using every single bed that they can.
Yes. Okay. Can we have a name? Look, somebody else wants to go there.
It's the AP Victoria Sports and Beach Hotel.
Any connection with Victoria?
If you look up AP Victoria, you'll find it.
And is that something like Atletico Portugal? Is that why it's AP?
No. AP are a hotel group.
I see.
I think specialising down here in the Algarve.
Okay.
And they've got their own bus that runs to Portimao and Albufeira for €1.
Mrs. M, you don't even have to walk to the beach. You can get a bus to the beach as well. How about that?
Well, you can get a bus to the town.
That is superb. Thank you, Ian, for that. Phil, let's give Phil a few more rounds of applause. Yes.
Hey, Phil.
What is that funny noise? I mean, I wouldn't say it's an eclectic show this morning, but so far we've had serious critical care in hospitals, eating of placentas, and holidays in the Algarve. So I would say we're covering all the bases on on how to feel good. Hello, all.
We barely started. Great to have you here. And how lovely that, well, you're in Portugal and living the dream in Portugal. You have this idyllic idea, of course, and we have an idyllic idea about you that you come to relax and take it easy and look at the view of Monsanto from your land. It hasn't quite turned out like that, has it?
Well, yes and no. I mean, every morning I look out of the van. The van faces the hills at Peña Garcia. And if you've never been there, there's a most wonderful river pool at Peña Garcia that's very, very worth, swimming under the waterfall's kind of good fun. And so we wake up to that view every morning and it feels surreal. I mean, it feels like, oh my word, I look up and think, no, this isn't England. You know what I mean? It's like, so every moment we're here is living the dream, but we've had water. You've got to understand a piece of land. You've got to live in it for the 12 months. You've got to see all the seasons. You've got to see what happens to your land. And let me tell you, what happens to this bit of land when it starts raining is our foam mat that's outside our van goes drifting off down the land on a torrent of water. So we had to dig out the old pickaxe. Well, the other end of the pickaxe is the mattock. We're starting digging channels to divert streams of water. Because it doesn't just come down, it comes down hard and fast. And it's all new and it's all exciting. It's like something out of a second-rate B Walt Disney family adventure movie.
Yeah.
As we're getting drenched and slipping over in the mud and all of that stuff, and the dog's going mad, and the goats are in the field next door, and all that good stuff.
It sounds
It
great.
sounds delightful.
It does sound like fun.
Are you going to be growing any trees and stuff like fruit trees and?
Well, we have orange tree already. We have here fig trees, olives, orange. I want lemons. Because how do you make lemonade if you haven't got any lemons?
Exactly.
I mean that's just mad.
You make orange,
and we'll have. We could, and the oranges are so sweet. They're not like oranges as we know oranges. If you grew up in England and bought them from a supermarket, they're like
nothing like.
Oh my gosh, oranges like this! I mean, fantastic, and they last for so long. They're on the tree, just pick them and squeeze them. Lovely, and because of all this rainwater, well, we've got this big old blue 5,000-litre water tank, and we're going to get that hooked up to the shed to our shelter on this trip that we put our camper van under. It's all very well having a camper van under a shelter, but if the water comes through the shelter, there's some planning that needs doing. But we're going to, with all this water, the fact of the matter is there is rain here and there is water here, and we're going to find ways of collecting enough so that actually we're not dependent necessarily on the wells, but there's enough water reclamation that we can recycle that water through grey and then black, and so we get the most use out of that water. We just, there's lots of good things. We're not ecologically it's not an ecological plot of land or project that we're planning. It's just, so for example, we've got the electricity coming. Well, I say coming. We're doing it in a Portuguese way because we're in Portugal. So it doesn't happen. You just make a phone call and it happens. There's a few visits, a bit of negotiation, a bit of chat, a few diversions. If ever thoughts become things and you just don't know which direction life is going to go in, you just want to do something regarding infrastructure in Portugal because it'll give you a graphic example. So we've got poles 103 meters from where the electricity stops right down to our land because we want to have electricity. We're going to have solar as well. But I don't want to put solar in until I know what solar looks like for this bit of land, for the project that we've got. But you still want to have power. So you want to have both.
Yes.
But the poles come down to the land. The cable is to the pole. The cable is on the pole down to our power box, to our terminal. But the two are not connected, which makes it interesting.
It does.
Why not? And getting to the bottom of why not is pretty much what we've been doing this week. It's been a lot of fun.
That's a lovely chapter heading for the book. Getting to the bottom of why not. Very, very good. And
I like that.
Look, there's Phil. doing a bit of that drainage
Oh,
work.
it's beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful
Oh,
there? With
That's
the olive
really
trees?
lovely.
Yeah, and a little respite from the rain. And you've got advice coming in, studded boots. Is that for in the evening after work or whilst he's work? I don't know what that is, actually. And
Stop you sliding
I've
down the
been
hill, I think.
okay.
I've
but
been
did
to
it-
bars like that.
Yeah, I thought so. I remember you telling me that story. But were they wearing denim diapers as well in there? In Amsterdam or wherever it was, Thailand? No, probably not. You don't want to answer. Okay, you shouldn't have to answer a question like that. Too wet for tractor pootling, though. Even too wet for the tractor at the moment. Amazing. So that is a lovely vision. Living the dream and living the drain. There you have Phil back in the country. Obviously able to answer questions about that beautiful part of central Portugal, looking at the wonderful view of Monsanto. Mrs. M, sorry, I think we've probably kept you here longer than you would want to be.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Phil before I go, I just want to say you really are doing yourself a massive favour by, sitting on your land and seeing what's happening, because you can actually see the infrastructure in your mind as you're living there. You can see, wow, the water's going this way. I can put like any trees or vines or anything that needs lots of water, like avocado, if you're gonna, or blueberries even. They could all be in that like soakaway area, and I just love it. I'd love to be that intimate with land for that length of time to be able to kind of see it almost be created with you.
Cinderella, you shall go to the ball. That is our long-term dream. We will get there. Help me, please. That is our dream, and we will get there. Don't you worry.
Maybe it's not our dream, because if it was, it had happened already. I would have thought.
Okay, hold on a minute. Phil is the man.
Phil might have a view to that.
Here we go, Phil. Come on, Phil.
Set the destination. What is the destination?
I don't know. I don't even know anymore, Phil. That's why. I don't even know.
Well, when we get over to your side of the country, which we will sometime at this point, I promise we'll sit down together.
I can set the feeling. I can set the feeling of the security, the feeling of the wonder of being on the land, and the satisfaction of growing things. Definitely.
Yes.
I'd love that. Anyway, I must go.
Just go. Baby steps, Angel. You know
right
this.
now, I've got to set the intention of trying to survive today.
Good start.
Three kids are moaning at me. They woke up moaning at me. So lots of love, everyone.
All right. See you later.
Bon fin de semana.
Bye. Stay tuned for more things he doesn't tell you in my next episode coming up tomorrow. Bye for now.
See you next. Oh, she's still there. Sorry. I'm all over it. Don't worry.
You are.
Right now, this is interesting, Phil. I can't just cover the tracks there and wander off. I think that's a very interesting point there. Fair to say, me and Mrs. M are up against quite a few little challenges at the moment. With our friend in hospital, one thing and another. And, we're not alone in that. I'm not. It's not a boohoo story. I know a lot. Jacqueline Branco, for example, this morning. And I want to ask you about this. How to stay true to the destination and honouring the baby steps when you're up against it, because you may have had this yourself in the last couple of days. There you are. You've got your beautiful plot of land, and it's peeing down, and the water isn't going in the right direction. And sometimes our emotional reaction to life and what's going on in this moment, in this day, and as Mrs. M says, getting to the end of the week, can overshadow somewhat, can't it? The loftier aims and ideals that we have set in our cosmic sat-nav, as you put it. How to deal with that?
I think that's so true. I think that we are conditioned. I believe for myself, I was conditioned through life that, when bad things happen, it's almost like a calamity. It's blown out of proportion. I mean, we laugh more than we cry, but we always remember the times when we're crying.
Yes.
Far more than we remember the times when we're laughing. Most of the time, life is good, which makes these bad times, the challenging times, take on a much larger size, a much larger presence within yourself.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just think it's like this week we went to Eredes because we thought that it was them that do the electricity distribution supply, so it was them that needed. They said, well, no, actually, your own electrician had to come back and certify the work. My electrician has to certify their work. Okay, so that's what has to happen. We'll get hold of our electrician. We'll get him back to certify the work. And they said, then you can go to EDP and get a contract. And we thought, well, why don't we just go to EDP and see what happens anyway? Because I thought that would be a good idea. So we went to EDP, and we got to EDP. They start filling us out an application for a contract, and it really is like computer says no. You remember in Little Britain where they tap. This is a very Portuguese thing as well. You know, I found it when I got my Mio contract for my phone, and just generally, there are a lot of pages that need filling out. And it's fascinating because I don't know what they're typing. I don't know what they're reading. And I expect them to say no at the end of it, which is kind of funny. But anyway, so he starts, he says, and then he says, do you have the caderneta? So we got for our property to show that we own our property. So we give them, they say, oh, it's over 12 months old. You need a new one. Well, we wouldn't have known this. So we go trottle off to the finances office, which is just round the corner, come back and tapping away, says, and your IBAN number for this bank account. Can I find it? No, but there's another branch in the bank just down the road in the opposite direction. It's awful total. I go and get the IBAN number, and we come back. And, you know, this is taking the whole morning. And we come back and we sit in the queue, and we get in, and we get in front of them again. And they get to the end and they go, computer says no, because until our electrician has certified the work, put it on the computer, the intermediary between our electrician and the Reddish have then, they've said yes to there, and Reddish have said yes, EDP can't give me the contact. And I loved it all. You know, I embraced it all. Now, in a past life, that sort of thing would have sent me from 0 to ballistic in under 10 seconds. Right? I mean, I would have been that person. Oh, how can this happen to me? It's so terrible. It isn't. It's a life experience. And the bad things, look, that isn't a bad thing that happened. But I use it just as an example.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Louisa say this week, that bad things do happen. And look, there are bad things that happen. And there are, and you can't account for them sometimes. You just can't account for them. But then you have to position yourself into, how do I turn this to become a good thing? How do I turn this to get the most that I possibly can out of it? So we made new contacts in the finances office. I met a lovely lady in Banco Montepio in Castelo Branco, and we just met good people at EDP in Heredas who really wanted to help. And so we've made lots of new contacts and we learned some new lessons. Now, when I as you know, I believe that thoughts become things, right? And I'm the thinking of Mike Dooley. I follow Mike Dooley a lot, and he believes that our thoughts become things. And so, often you get the question of, well, if our thoughts become things, how have these bad things happened to me?
Yes.
Right? And I can't account for what's happened before in your thinking. I can only help you with your thinking from now and into the future. And what I say to you is this. When bad things are happening, understand them, recognize them, but work out a plan to flip them, because they can be flipped.
Yes.
Even when I think about how number 10 were partying whilst I couldn't go and visit my mother in hospital during COVID, I had to learn how to flip that to a point where, well, in fairness, she didn't really want to see me, right? Wow. And that was the truth. And so maybe it was good. And Boris lost, and now he's coming back. You look at the politics of the situation. Look at UK politics. I always say to people. Yes. I always say to people. Sorry, yes, Ian.
Well, I was going to say, you're lucky to catch me this morning, because for an hour this afternoon I'm Home Secretary, and Monday for about for about 30 seconds, I'm the Chancellor. And then Tuesday, for about a nanosecond, I'm Prime Minister.
But it is fascinating, isn't it? Because it goes back to what you were saying, Phil, about we can connect British politics and thoughts become things, and how perhaps to deal with the good and bad things in life, because it's where you put your awareness most of the time. And what I notice about British politics at the moment, the awareness is constantly on the churn and the drama. Now, you would expect in an intelligent society that they might be asking, we collectively, in any country, especially in the UK at the moment, might be asking collectively, who are some wise people we could talk to about how to correctly run a country? Where's the inspiration? Where are the ideals here? What would be the ideal outcome here where people could be fed and stay in their homes and not be evicted and not have to go to food banks? You could ask intelligent questions like that, couldn't you? But instead, the general consciousness seems to be on constant drama. As you say, Ian, who's the next Prime Minister? Look again in half an hour, or the Home Secretary, or the Chancellor. And there is something about this collective consciousness and where we put our focus on collectively and individually, right? So that's a really important thing, isn't it? Is yes, okay, bad things happen and you get the rug pulled from under you. But generally speaking, where we're putting our focus is really key and important, isn't it?
Where we put our focus as individuals is crucial.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, a government's not going to give you your life. A government's not necessarily going to make your life better or worse. Right? Yes. It's what you are going to do with your life to make your life. How you take ownership, how you take responsibility. And so I tend to deal with a lot of this stuff by turning it off and not looking at it. Maybe I look at it once a day just for comedic presence. Because the thought of Boris coming back is nothing but comedic. But yes, and in Britain, I say to often my Portuguese friends here, you have to understand with Brexit and all of this, that we as Brits are a special kind of stupid. Right?
We're certainly exceptionally stupid.
Yes.
Exceptionalism. Okay, right.
Yeah. We're a special
world-beating stupid.
We were the first to say it. If any other nationality wants to come on a screen and do and analyze themselves in this way, we can do that next week. Just send your ideas to carl@goodmorningportugal.com. But there you go. The British have owned it on the screen this morning. Hey guys, we've got another Brit joining us now. We'll continue this conversation this morning. We're working through until it's not really work, is it? We're enjoying ourselves, hanging out together until after 10 this morning. We've got Joss Ford joining us now.
Hey, Joss.
Hello there, good morning.
What an unexpected pleasure you are. We are mutual. We have mutual friends on Facebook. And you saw.
We certainly do, yeah, I noticed.
Lovely to meet you. A Sheffielder, I think.
I do. I am, yes, originally, yeah.
And you, there was a picture of the Blue Dragon River on Facebook. And it was our mate Mark who put that up. And you said, I used to be a tour guide in Portugal. I don't remember it looking like that. In the year 2000, I thought, I've got to get in touch with Joss and find out what it's like to be an immigrant, expat, foreigner, whichever word you choose, who came to Portugal in the year 2000. Does it change much, Joss?
Well, I came here in 89. I moved here in 89, actually.
89? Wow, okay.
First, I've been bombed by Betty here. Cats She's not normally so affectionate, but
cats love a live stream and a Zoom call, don't they?
They certainly do. Yeah, she's not normally. She's affectionate, but she's normally outside, and now she's coming. As soon as I'm online, she comes and wants to get in on the show. Yeah, I first came here traveling in 87.
Yep.
And then moved here in 89. I'm a carpenter, and but for a change of life, I always sort of wanted to work in the public, and so I've been torn my whole life between the two, entertaining people and making things with wood. And in the year 2000, very beginning of the year 2000, I thought, right, I'm going to try and move down to the Algarve from the north of Portugal, near Coimbra, middle north, and went down there and and got a job as a tourist guide, doing jeep safaris around the Guadiana River and around the nature reserve there, around Castamarine and around there.
In the early
and
90s.
then so we used to go around the big lake that you mentioned.
Yeah, the Blue Dragon.
But at the time, I had no idea it looked like a dragon. It's only in recent years people have occasionally posted it on Facebook and said, "Oh, this looks like a dragon."
Yeah,
I had no idea.
It's so nice to meet you and meet Phil and Ian here, our regulars on this one.
Hey, Joss.
It's
Hi, Joss.
Good morning.
Third Friday of the month is when we do fitness and health, and body and mind. And I wanted to get you on because that perspective of knowing what Portugal was like in 1989, I'm guessing it's changed a little bit since then. And
well, it has, yeah. And I was thinking about this when you sort of mentioned briefly on the messages about how it's changed. I think because I moved to Portugal. I mean, it was the late 80s was a bit, especially in Sheffield, was a bit of a rubbish time in England. All my mates everyone was out of work, and it was a hard time. And
Meadow Hall, we got Meadow Hall. What do you mean we got Meadow Hall in the 80s?
We have now, yes. Great.
Meadow Hell.
Yeah, Meadow Hell, yes. And I always wanted to get away. I wanted to leave Sheffield, and so obviously it wasn't financially I moved to Portugal, because it was, I think at the time it was sort of going back to a world that had already gone in England. It had already left, it had already moved on. They'd built Meadow Hall, and whereas here, I came here and there was still the old-fashioned tascas and mercenarias, shops that sold everything, and buckets and paint tins hanging up, and you can, the shops where you can buy, everything from a bag of nails to a potato to a tin of paint to get your glass cut, book your funeral, and have a coffee and a glass of wine next door if you want. And just jumping forward, very sadly, the last one in the town I live in, Serpinge, the last one has just closed during COVID. Oh. The last one in our town that sold everything with a Tashka next door. And I keep asking him when he's going to open again. But he's working now, driving a JCB, and I think he's earning much more money and having much more fun.
So it
the
goes,
guy who runs it. So it's still there with the doors closed. But yeah, it was an older world. It took me back. It was like going back to a more basic times, really. But things change, things move on. And I don't live in the middle of nowhere. I live near Coimbra. I live 15 miles from Coimbra, 25 kilometres from Coimbra. So it's still commuter belt from Coimbra. Okay. And so it's still quite modern here and advanced. It's not like going off into the wilds.
And you make a living here. You make a living here as a carpenter.
I do. Yeah, we're really busy. I've got a workshop right next to the house.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really don't. I mean, now I'm quite well established, and so we don't really advertise. There's just always enough work. There's two of us in the workshop, me and a Portuguese colleague. I can hear him. I don't know if you can hear him.
Well, he's probably wondering what you're at. He's hard working next door, and you're on a conference.
Yeah, I said, I'm going to do a radio thing. I'm going to go and do.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we've always got enough. We've always got enough work. I'd say it's 70% for foreigners. The work we do.
All right.
And 30% for Portuguese.
Yeah, we would love to get you in our Indie Portugal directory. I mean, it sounds like you've got enough work anyway, but it's so lovely to hear about you, and that you might be, of great help to somebody over.
Well, I always do. I'm going to play with Castle Joinery.
Castle Joinery, okay, fantastic. And a little bit, you're also a musician, right? Because you said you like.
Well, I wouldn't call myself a musician, but I play the guitar and ukulele.
Okay.
But I call myself a 3-chord strummer. I play in two bands, playing a bluegrass band who we're rehearsing this evening, and I play in sort of an old favourites band who I do a lot more with them. We play quite regularly.
And you're organising is there a festival gig sort of thing happening quite soon in your part of the world?
Well, we're playing on November the 19th at a one-day event in Foz de Rous, Luzar, that's actually organised by us as well.
Yeah, and, that's what I thought. So we need details about that, please. If you pop them over to me, we'll make sure we'll do our best to send a few more people along.
Okay. Yeah, it's the Magoshtu party, which is like the Chestnut and Jerapiga festival.
Of course. Yeah, brilliant. So it's fair to say then that life has changed quite a lot in Portugal since 1989. You're a veteran expat immigrant foreigner. We probably don't need to get into that discussion right now. But what's your advice to the new ones coming in now as a veteran?
Well, I don't know. Funnily enough, I've had a guy from a work colleague of my brother's in Japan sending me lots of emails asking for advice, and I sort of feel a bit stumped as to know what to say. I mean, my first advice is it's difficult to make a living here.
Yes.
When that's the first thing I'd say. So unless you've got a good plan, or got some kind of external income, that's the trickiest thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I'll recommend people to learn Portuguese as quickly as possible, because that really helps. I think I can never understand how people survive here without speaking Portuguese.
How long
I
did
know
it take
these days.
How long did it take you to get to a level of competency yourself?
I don't know, 3 years maybe before I really felt comfortable. But then people ask me how long it took me to learn it. I always say I'm still learning.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, I do with my work colleague. I speak English. He's 32. I speak English with my work colleague just because when we started working together, he always spoke back to me in English, and I gave up in the end. So it's the workshop language. And so, and really his English is much better than my Portuguese. I don't mind admitting.
Yeah, yeah. And you're part of the world there, Joss. I mean, we've got a lot of people who tune into the show from America. They're keen to know which would be the best parts of Portugal to settle in. How would you commend your part of the world there, or are there other parts of Portugal that you would recommend as well?
Well, yeah, and I think there's something for everyone here, because Portugal is so varied. Every corner you go around, it's different. So where I live at the bottom of the Serra da Luzar, and so for me, I mean, I don't want to advertise it too much, but I call it the centre of the universe, because I'm at the bottom of the mountain. I've got the River Serra, and I'm half an hour from GuMPer. So if I need to, I go to GuMPer at least once a week. And I've got the mountain nearby. I've got the river. We've got a beautiful river beach, like less than a kilometre from me. And so Serpinge, I've got here in Serpinge, we've got all the shops you need. I've got 2 bakeries, butcher, post office, cat's knocking me. And so for me, Serpinge is ideal. There's a massive steel yards. There's everything here. But if you want a more isolated life, I'd go further inland. Would be my advice. Up north, and at the north, the very north is beautiful, isn't it? It's gorgeous, but it's very remote and isolated. So if you want a quiet life, I'd recommend going inland from here, or northeast Alentejo, or to the very, very north. But if you like a bit of everything, around GuMPer, around Luzar is great, because you have the tranquility and you have the city nearby. Fantastic. Or if you want a more city life, I'd recommend going around Lisbon somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be my recommendation.
What's your cat's name?
This one's Betty.
Betty's so lovely. She wants to show us the tea towel holder. I'm sure of that. Any questions? Any questions, Ian or Phil, for Joss while we have him here?
Well, I was going to ask Joss. You mentioned a few places down. I'm down in the Algarve at the moment, and you mentioned a couple of places down here, and I wondered whether it was worth. We'll have a car at some stage this next couple of weeks. Where it was worth going to?
Well, I mean, again, it depends what you like, because if you go to Albufeira, you've got. But saying that, I haven't been to the Algarve. I haven't been to the Algarve for 2003 since 2003. But so I'm sure it's changed. I'm sure it's changed a lot down there a lot. But if you want to go to Irish bars and eat pizza, I'd say the centre of Albufeira.
No. We can do that. I can walk. The other side, the hotel we're in has got a running track, which is why I'm here, because that's my thing. And the other side of the running track is the gym, and above the gym is a pizzeria. So I could do pizzas just walking across the running track.
Exactly, yeah.
So I don't need to go anywhere.
I was in the very south. I was in the very eastern corner of
the
Algarve, in Villarreal de Sant Antonio.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And round there, there's a lovely nature reserve, like in the salt flats. So it's where they make the salt. Massive salt lakes.
Salinas,
Salinas, yeah. And it's a big bird reserve, nature reserve. So it's all. If you're into birds, feathered birds, it's a wonderful place for birds.
Well, either type works for me.
It's a great place for storks and all sorts of wading birds, all spoonbills, all sorts of flamingos. That's the one I'd recommend. That. And then the West Algarve gets.
There's a football pitch that's sort of in the middle of the track, and this morning, first thing, there were little egrets. Just all over the place, and I don't expect to see them. Normally they're fairly isolated birds. They're sort of wander around on their own, but there's a load of them.
Maybe there's lots of goodies come up. Has it been raining down there? Has it been raining down there?
Absolutely throwing it down yesterday.
Yeah, maybe there's lots of creepy crawlies come out of the ground for them to.
Yeah, I think the worms have been up.
Brilliant.
Slugs coming out.
So I imagine there are parts of Algarve that haven't changed since 2003. Phil, did you have a question for Joss?
Well, I just, Joss, you're so blessed. I mean, my uncle had a woodworking shop in Leicester, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
smell of freshly sawn wood is one of those great memories that I hold from my childhood. I think to be able to do something with your hands where you make something. Unfortunately, I had a life that was in a different direction, which meant I had to talk and use my brain rather than my hands. I wished I'd had a life where I could have used my hands, and hopefully at some point in the future I will get across to you, because we're only in Monsanto. We're not a million miles away.
We'll come up, yeah.
And I'd love to come and have a look at your workshop and the stuff that you do.
Yeah, it's all very old school. Yeah, when you're right, I have got a passion for wood. I mean, I don't know if you can see, there's a shelf here with olive grain. I don't know if you can see the grain on that.
Oh, wow, so beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just a real passion for the wonderful product that wood is, the nature's beauty that it's created.
We love about wood in the morning. We definitely. We're getting feedback already, Joss. What an amazing person, admirable. And going online work. I mean, obviously, when you started in 1989, that wasn't going to be possible, was it, to work online? So that has made it.
No, I don't think the internet was invented then.
Amazing, isn't it? It was just that's when Bill Gates was saying it would never catch on, I believe. A way of learning the language, get a Portuguese boyfriend. It's too late for some of us, or that would get us in a lot of trouble. That's the other part of that.
Yeah.
Well, yes, get me in a lot of trouble.
And a final question for you this morning, Joss. I hope you'll come back at some point. It's been lovely talking.
Well, yeah, give me a shout anytime. It's going to be tricky to listen in because we make noise all the time, and so I normally just have.
Yes, the woodworking shop, of course.
So I have I often have just like some rock and roll on YouTube into the workshop.
Superb. But
having a scar day.
Pete wants to know how you get things from the top shelf behind you.
I stand on the table.
Okay, there you go. Which you made yourself, no doubt.
Yeah, I built this house.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure that. But it was always a ruin, and I built it bigger. And yeah.
Oh, wow. What a legend you are. And it's so lovely to meet you. Muito prazer. And I hope we will see you again.
Yeah, give me a shout anytime. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Oh, Josh.
I'm sorry I don't listen in all the time. I say it's a bit noisy.
Don't you worry. We want to see you back here.
Okay, lovely to meet you.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Ciao.
Fantastic. Wasn't that amazing, fellas?
What a guy.
Fantastic.
What a guy.
He's our version of Fred Dibner, isn't he, really?
He is. A bit of George Formby going on there as well, I think.
Yeah, it's just down to
with his little ukulele.
Yes, and if you are dusting your wood this morning, or sanding your wood or whatever, Ian, what's up to Ian? Be careful with all this wood. Says
Leave your wood alone.
When we made our fairy tale chair, we didn't realise the dust was toxic. Okay, do not inhale. I suppose is the well, that can be difficult at extended
dust
periods.
Mask.
Dust
mask.
That's what they're for. Okay, Rugby Colin is with us this morning. Look, fellow rugby fan, as you two gentlemen are. Ian, if you're interested.
Yeah. I'm going to be going up there.
What, to the Portimao racetrack on the 29th?
He's racing.
Yes, worth a visit. I'm there with my brother.
In his TR4.
Is that the brother we met, Colin? In a TR4, car number 71, not 1971. Could be 19.
Well, we're hoping to be up there. This is not this weekend, next weekend. Yes. We're hoping to be up there, I think, on the Saturday.
Okay. All right.
So,
yes,
I haven't booked the tickets yet, but I suspect it's not quite as busy as Silverstone was when I was there.
I imagine not. Silverstone's crazy, isn't it? Who doesn't love some wood in the morning? Somebody had to say it, and Joao. And you might want to rephrase this, Joao. The naughty part is one of the things I like most about you. Well, let's hope that Victoria's Portuguese boyfriend doesn't hear that this morning. Okay, and Pete as well. Gentlemen, we meant to talk about health body. Well, we have done in a way, haven't we? We focused somewhat on the first aid part of health of the mind, didn't we? When things are getting on top, as it were, staying on an even keel, reframing, honoring what's going on. We're not denying, are we? We're not overlooking the trauma, the difficulty, and the darkness. We're embracing it, and then perhaps reframing and moving on. Phil, in the way you say, come back to your vision, come back to setting the sat nav and the baby steps, which is always great advice. And I'm sure me and Mrs. M will be doing that very soon. on the physical front, thank you for all your tips recently, Ian. And it's perhaps time to relaunch the God Squad initiative, isn't it? With those wonderful videos that we made. What do you reckon? Should we start again? What we're doing in the Algarve?
Yeah, well, perhaps we need to do a different intro. Maybe I'll try and do an intro down here. That would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Just to get people enthused and show them a bit of what's here when the weather's got a bit better, perhaps.
A bit of a
which should be Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
And I'll do a couple of videos, and maybe you can put them together, and we'll relaunch.
Well, let's not overlook the fact, though, that you put together some amazing videos. I think I can click through to them here. If you go to the Good Morning Portugal website, goodmorningportugal.com, funnily enough, there is a new tab as of this morning, 50 plus vitality, which doesn't seem to work for some reason.
Of course it doesn't.
I don't know why it is.
One of those little things that Phil was talking about.
That is so weird. Why is that not working? Because the other ones are 50 plus vitality doesn't want to work. I shall see to that after the show. Okay, so the other tabs are working. That one isn't. But let's not overlook the fact, Ian, you made some amazing videos. They're there for people to follow as a course. And there are some core ideas, aren't there? This is good life advice generally. If it stops, if it hurts, stop. Not if it stops, hurt, and build up slowly. Good transferable life advice.
Yeah,
and
totally.
You went into some core principles, stability, building up gently, getting core strength, and it's an amazing treasury of gentle fitness for bon viveurs. That's what it's about, isn't it? Growing old disgracefully and not becoming a horsehair shirt wearing vegan with no joys in life. It's about enjoying the good things in life and taking care of yourself as well. And that's why I call it 50 plus vitality. There is the physical God Squad, physical side of it, because you're an athletics coach, but we're also embracing the mental, spiritual, and emotional as well. And as we age, as it says today on the show title, Aging Expats, healthy in body and mind. Not a lot we can do about the aging part, right? But a lot to do in how we can respond to it.
We can battle away at it as long as we can.
Yes.
Though my better half would probably disagree with that, as there's free booze here. So I took advantage last night of the booze.
and what is cold red wine like?
Oh, well, I didn't have any of that. I have drunk it before on a hot day. Actually, it's lovely.
Yes.
It depends which wines. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't freeze a really good one. So they tend to be the drinking wine, I guess, rather than a sampling wine.
Yeah, what people call table wine for some reason.
Table wine, yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So you wouldn't kill the taste of a really good wine by chilling it.
No.
Standard stuff that is probably a bit dodgy when it's warm. If it's cold, it kills all of those sort of tanniny flavors. I have had cold wine before, and on a hot day, it's a bit like a rosé, I guess.
I suppose, yeah.
And a lot of them come from the same grape anyway.
Yes, indeed, yeah, and something to get used to, I think, in Portugal, because there is the red fizz as well. So a few unusual cultural things to.
Well, red fizz is generally served cold, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, with the suckling pig. Yeah, for sure. Okay, cold red wines are cheap. Is Stephen Wells with his? That sounds a little bit. Does that come across a little bit snobby to you? I'm not sure. I don't know if you want to explain yourself there, Stephen. Bon dia, everyone. Checking in for a bit, but yes, who doesn't like?
Okay, who doesn't?
And Veronica, you were amazing yesterday, and I'm sure today as well. If it hurts, stop. I love it. And remember, if we annoy you, stop hanging out with us. The new T-shirt, which I'm going to bring onto the screen. That is a great T-shirt. I will get the visual of that. In fact, I can bring it on. I'm going to save it and put it on the screen in just a moment. And good news, Ian, I've managed to fix the website while we were talking there.
Oh, good. Well done.
I seemed a little distracted. It was because I was just fixing my own website while we were talking. Let's see if it's
a multitasker. How do you do it?
I would hope so. There is our. Hold on a minute.
You realise that's against the man code multitasking.
It is.
Yes,
Definitely.
it would appear I'm quite in touch with my feminine side, being able to do this. There, and who doesn't like to be in touch with their feminine side first thing in the morning? 50 plus vitality. There we go. You've got a drop down menu. I hope you're seeing that.
Oh, okay.
And Grey Watch God Squad, aka Growing Old Disgracefully. There are all the videos. Look, Rebel Mama Victoria, who's with us this morning, and an introduction from the coach. That looks pretty tasty, doesn't it?
That's
and
good. Lovely.
If you want to embark on that, start again, and it's weeks 1, 2, and 3. We suggest you start with week 1. It's quite a good place to start. Look at all these videos, basic principles, ready, steady, go, basic principles, walking 2 techniques, and wrapping up at the end of each module. So all of that for you over there on the goodmorningportugal.com website. And yeah, let's reiterate that caveat though. If it hurts, stop. It's the same with in all sorts of areas of life, unless you have a safe word, and also build up slowly. Do you want to add anything to that, Ian? So
just the 3 areas or 3 types of exercise that I'm becoming even more convinced now are the right approach. So it's doing some gentle distancey type things, which can be just walking. Walking is a brilliant exercise, and it really helps things like osteoporosis as well, because it's a weight bearing exercise. So walking's great. Doing some strength work, and that can be just body weight, or picking up a 2-litre bottle of water is good exercise. So doing some strength work, just generally on all the major limbs, and lastly,
in the garden.
This is the new. Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
Actually, going and digging in the garden is fantastic exercise.
Yes.
Just you need to apply don't rush at it, and
which everyone does, don't they?
Everybody, you all pile. I did it the other day.
Yes. Why?
Because we do it sort of, by doing it, I mean, we do gardening perhaps 3 or 4 times a year. so we pile into it, think, this is okay. And we're digging a bloody great hole to bury a tree or something. And we're just not ready for it. So we pile into it and we wonder why our back hurts the following day. So like the exercise mantra, build up slowly.
Yeah.
So that's, and the last part of the exercise sort of trilogy is to do some fast work. So that can be fast walking, it can be fast running, it could be sitting on a bike, a static bike, or a normal cycle, and having 15 or 20 seconds of maximum effort.
Okay.
At whatever level you are, it doesn't matter, because you will find that changes your metabolism. And reading some of the research, the metabolism stays changed for a lot longer if you put that sort of effort in, and you repeat it maybe 4 or 5 times. And you can actually so you've really only done about 2 minutes of effort of max effort in total.
Yeah.
So and that does begin to change your metabolism. So you burn fat more readily. The effects last a lot longer than if you just went out for a long walk or even a jog. So that's what seems. Yeah, just the speed. And that is called high intensity interval training in
fartlek, as we like to.
Fartlek is exactly that. The guys doing triathlon here were out doing that yesterday on the track, and they were going fast for 20 seconds and slow for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Now they did rather more than just 4 or 5 intervals, but they did. God, I think it was about 20 or 25, something like that. I mean, some of them were bemoaning their fate.
Yes,
which was funny.
And drinking is not included in this fast, intense thing, is it? So we'll be walking to Ocean for some.
No,
wine.
unless you've actually got to lift a really big stein,
or run to the shop, or run to Ocean,
run to the supermarket.
It's always the way. Yes, there's always a way, and that sums up the spirit of what we're talking about here, doesn't it?
Yeah. Because you can build it into your day. You can walk down to the coffee shop, which we will be doing later, probably.
This is an acronym they didn't use, funnily enough. Fartlek was funnily enough, but they didn't go with special high-intensity training there for obvious reasons. Fast dribbling wind. No, we're not doing that one. And wow! Pete, that's advanced, okay? We're not going there on this particular iteration of our lovely new drop-down menu at goodmorningportugal.com.
Who
Ian,
doesn't like a drop-down menu in the morning?
You know, did you forget about some of the work you created there? Because it is a real treasure. It's a real accomplishment and achievement, I think. So thank you.
Well, I've only really looked at one or two bits of it, and it was, it's okay. It's good.
We created,
and that's the first time I've ever done anything like that.
Yeah,
so,
I think you can be proud of that. And thank you to Victoria and Rebel Mama, who were involved in the making of that as well.
Indeed.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Rebel Mama would have enjoyed last night.
What? How do you mean?
The music and dancing.
Yes,
it probably
she's
wasn't her type of music. She loves a bit of electro. Yeah,
she does, doesn't she? A fan of the EDM, travels around Europe for it. We miss you, Rebel Mama. Come back. And let's go then to the dad jokes in these final few minutes, fellas. All right. Before we do, of course, we might want this T-shirt. If I annoy you, stop hanging out with me or coming to my parties. That's what we came up with Veronica yesterday. It's good life advice, especially for the self-expressed. And we're going to do a nice V-neck version of that and a little bit more fitted. The ladies didn't like the box T-shirt. They wanted something a little bit more fitted. So we'll see what we can do with that. But that may well be a bit of merch for the GMP. A little bit of an instruction for T-Duck. Smash that like button. Flash mob was the word we were looking for yesterday, and we came up with that. Again, sorry if I missed your comment. There have been so many this morning, but we are going to do a little bit of deep thinking and then get into the dad jokes, a little bit of a reflective time as we go into the weekend and have a bon fin semana here. And first of all, cue this then, gentlemen. Every moment offers evidence of miracles. Here we go. If our eyes are open to see them and our hearts are open to experience them. Marianne Williamson. Thank you very much, James, for that. From the sublime, possibly to the ridiculous with Yogi Berra. We're lost, but we're making good time. That's a good spirit, isn't it? That's a good idea, I think, there, Phil. You'd approve of that one?
Love that one.
Yeah, isn't that great?
I love getting lost.
Yes, yeah. Because being found is not, although it feels like it's far away, it's never far away. Life happens in cycles, doesn't it? You'll be lost, found. Rinse and repeat. Every time I think about all the miracles around us, I think of Sarah McLachlan and Ordinary Miracles, which is a great wake-up song. Let's do wake-up songs on Monday, shall we, when James joins us. And Robert Hunter of the Grateful Dead. There are things you can replace and others you cannot. The time has come to weigh those things. The space is getting hot. Is that a little bit of a comment on our political times or times in American society? A quick Portuguese saying then, quando o amigo pede não há amanhã, when the friend asks, there is no tomorrow. That's very beautiful, isn't it? Does that mean that's part of the Portuguese culture and spirit you were talking about possibly earlier on, Phil? When a friend asks, there is no tomorrow, we just forget about the future and we focus on our friend. What a lovely world that is to live in. Beautiful. Thank you very much for that, T-Duck. Okay, gentlemen, let's just take a breath and we're into the dad jokes now. Okay, I need to make sure I've got my rim shot at the ready. And Phil has attained a Zen-like composure in seconds there. That was amazing. He'll be teaching that at his next workshop. The best thing about
breathing is everything.
Breathing is everything. There you go.
And yet nobody's so few practice. We've got this fantastic muscle, right? And nobody's using it.
What do you mean?
We're just being consciously breathing,
as
opposed to exercise breathing. We're all breathing,
yes.
But do we actually exercise that muscle? Do we breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, let it out with a big sigh for 4 seconds? Hold it for 4 seconds and repeat 3 times. And you do that even with screaming children in your room. I promise you will end up.
It's not me. It's not me. But you're right. We pant, don't we? And breathe shallow. Yeah. And this is the gift we're carrying around with us all the time. That big old muscle you're talking about there that you can pull in some air with the diaphragm. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's surely part of meditation, isn't it, Carl?
Sure.
Breathing properly
certainly settles you, the breathing, and it gives you, it's something that you've always got fingers crossed. Until that day, you don't. But until then, you have that as a reference point to come back to.
You do.
It's the simplest of
Which is
things.
why, yeah, the growing old is so much fun, actually. The getting older, you know, I don't consider this to be a fight. I consider it to be an embracing of being that lucky.
Well said, sir. Yes, yes. Whilst we're complaining about aging, we might bear that in mind as well as the other side of the coin, right? It's an honor, isn't it, and a privilege.
We're still here.
So we are.
Yeah,
everything's
good.
still attached.
Yes, and well done. If you don't breathe consciously, this might help you, because a bit of laughter is good as well, doesn't it? Because it stretches the diaphragm and gets the air moving in and out a bit faster, and it gets the coffee across the computer.
Right, sorry, I've digressed us again.
No, it was an excellent a fatherly digression as we preface the dad jokes. The best thing about the 80s was boom boxes, but that's just a stereotype. Oh dear.
Not bad.
Right, we've got a lot to get through, gentlemen, because other people have been sending them in as well this morning. So pace yourselves, okay? Don't get out of breath just yet. I've got to be careful how I read this one. What do you call a store with just shares? A shack of sit. Restrained laughter, as it should be. Why can't you send a duck to space? Its bill would be astronomical. Oh, they're untouched. Unruffled by that. Baddy's in Iceland, by the way. Cannot wait to get back to Portugal. Is it the dad jokes, I wonder? Okay, we've got to be very careful because these are peat-flavoured dad jokes now.
Oh, no.
Probably, the sort of dad jokes you tell your kids when you're having your first drink with them when they're over 18. But let's see. I saw this bloke chatting up a cheetah, and I thought, he's trying to pull a fast one. They're not laughing, but they will be using these later. The advantage of easy origami are twofold.
I like that one. That's quite good.
Well, you could show it. I met this bloke with a didgeridoo. It's almost like it's looking at stamps, isn't it? That's quite a nice one with its frilly edges and the Queen's face on it. These are dad jokes, not stamps. I met this bloke with a didgeridoo, and he was playing Dancing Queen on it. I thought that's Aboriginal. No! Come on.
That's the one. That's the one.
It beats the others.
Oh, hold on. There's another one. I just when you thought it was safe to keep a straight face, a friend of mine always wanted to be run over by a steam train. When it happened, he was chuffed a bit.
Chuffed to bits.
Come on. That is. Oh my God, he's keeping going. My next door neighbour worships exhaust pipes. He's a Catholic converter. Very good, Pete. Very. I'm not very filthy, surprisingly. Right, 3 minutes past 10. It's time to wish everyone a bon fin de semana. We got to most things this morning. It's our great challenge to do so. Garvo's in right at the last minute there. He missed all the smutty innuendo. I know he's partial to a bit of that. Prepping and other things that we do on the show. Prepping to meet the legendary Philomena for the cheese and wine talk. Give her a big hug from us, please. Breathing does help. Beats the alternative. Absolutely right. And Paul, Louisa's link has gone. Can you put it on again? I'll get in touch with you directly, Paul, and we'll make that happen there. Big fan of conscious breathing, even just deeply through the nose, brief hold and exhale through the mouth. Remember to breathe, everybody. Correct. Breathing with meditation. Phil is a professional. I wonder what that was referring to there. Keeping a straight.
I've no idea. I'm good with a mattock, though.
He is handy with a mattock. There's a man you want to be on a desert island with. Patient, doctor. Oh, patient. Doctor. Garvo's slipping a quick one in. Doctor, I keep thinking I'm Tom Jones. Doctor, it's not unusual. Not unusual. There we go. Nice try. Don't forget to hit that like button. Oh, yeah, and we do need the dad joke warning again. So people will have been traumatized. I didn't issue the dad joke warning. I am so sorry. Another quickie. Why don't monsters eat ghosts? They taste like sheet. That's pretty good. I've not heard that one before. Sounds like Ian has. Okay, well done, everybody. We should leave it there. Ian, Phil, thank you so much. Lovely to have you here in the country. I could feel a positive disturbance in the force. Fantastic to have you here. Have a nice grasp your breast and enjoy this round of applause. One. Thank you.
We'll
have a great weekend. And that applies to everybody. Ciao for now.
Here's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.